Hello everyone. In this video I want to show you some different types of patterns that exist in SolidWorks under features. So in my part design video, which is a long one, I showed you how to go about linear and circular patterns. So they are very common and you use them a lot in many parts. What I want to talk about today are basically these other types of uh, patterns like fill, like variable, table driven, and sketch, and so on. So, for example, if you want to create something like this, how would you do that? Okay, so let me start with the one that I like the most. Really, it's called the fill pattern. So I'm gonna show you fill pattern, and then we're gonna go about sketch driven pattern. So here I have this part and I did this cut extrude in it, and now basically I want to create some hole in it, and then I want to repeat that. Okay, so the first thing you need for this we call fill pattern, if you click here, is you need basically the sketch to repeat, or you can choose a feature here. You can choose a feature to repeat, so I can make a circular hole in this, then repeat it, and then you need to say on which surface, right? So you choose that, and then there are some parameters here that you have to define to fill inside that surface with basically cuts. Okay, and another thing you can do is this guy called create seed cut. So this one is going to generate cuts with the specific profiles, like a polygon, like a basically a diamond, a square, and a circle. The cuts are going to be all through the object, not at the specific depth. And the good thing about this is you don't need to create a sketch or anything. Okay, so I can do that one as well. And so for example here, if I say for the surface, I want this surface. Now the other thing you need is a reference direction, okay, a pattern direction. So before I can do that, I need a direction. And here, this sketch that I made, this sketch on this surface, I can use that sketch for what? For my reference direction. So look now, if I go here and then say I want the fill pattern, and then I want it on this surface, and then the reference direction is this. Now, as I said, you can go under create seed cuts, and you see right now you can have circles with the diameter specified, let's say 0.2 inches in diameter. And as you can see, these cuts are all the way through the object. Okay, so here I have this pattern, right? Or if you want, you can change it to this pattern or this one or this one. And then you have the distance between them. So if you reduce this to maybe 0.3, then you can have more, and then you can change this reference angle basically, and you can provide some margins with respect to the edges of the sketch. So if I say like 0.1 inch, you see now they're not going to go all the way to the edge, and they're going to have some offset. So the bigger this number, of course, you're going to have fewer and fewer of these circles. So here I allow it to go all the way to the edge, or very close, maybe just 0.05 or something. Okay, and then as I said, you can specify an offset, a reference angle, and that's all you need to do. And again, the diameter of the circle in this case. And let's see here, look, you see, just like that, you can create this basically fill pattern, right? Now, if I didn't want that, I can go ahead and I can change it to any other sketch or any other shape. So I can go, hey, I want square holes, and then maybe 0.15 is the side of the size. And again, let's say I want a different pattern this time, maybe this kind of pattern, or this one, right, or this one. And then again, you can reduce this number to maybe 0.3 or something, huh? And you have to be careful about here that these sketches are overlaying, okay? So I would rather, and this is another offset that you have, which you can bring them closer. So maybe I go with 0.35. Right, and then I can have these kinds of cuts. Okay, so this is called the fill pattern. Or if you want, you can create your own cut extrude, and you can have your own cut extrude. So let me show you that one. So here I have created this cut extrude, but this is not all the way through, as you can see. Okay, this is not all the way through. I just want to repeat that. So now I can create this fill pattern, right? Where the fill pattern, if you take a look at that, here I have selected that cut extrude number 2 to be repeated. Where do I choose that? It's under these features. So instead of creating the seat cuts, I say selected features, I choose the cut extrude. I still need the back face to be the face that I put my cuts on. I still need my reference line, and I need to provide these offsets and everything. And now if you look, I get this one, right? With that pattern here, which is called perforation, right? And then there is circular, and then there is a square, and then there is this polygon. So I choose with the perforation, and again, I make sure the circles are not overlaying, and look, I can get this beautiful pattern here. Okay, so this is the fill pattern. Another kind of cut pattern that I can do, or another pattern, doesn't need to be a cut necessarily, is this guy here. So let's say I have this cut extrude, and then I have this sketch that I have on the surface, this 3-point arc. And now I would repeat this cut extrude along this sketch, and that's what we call a curve pattern. Okay, so if you look at this curve pattern here, again, it says what is the feature you want to repeat, and I say I want to repeat cut extrude 3, and then here you provide the reference arc or any curve. You say how many of that you want. Do you want equal spacing or not? And what is the offset between them? And you can create that, huh? So let's say in this case, I don't want the cut extrude. I want an extrusion. So I can get rid of that cut extrude and convert it to extrusion, correct? So I choose this, and then I extrude it maybe a small amount, like 0.1 inch or something, like that, and I can do some fillet here, very small, and then I'm going to repeat that, right? So maybe 0.04, something like this, and I'm going to change the color of this as well for better visualization. Like that. So now with that one and that sketch, look, I go here and I say what? I say curve driven pattern. And it says, okay, fine, where is your curve? And I say, this is my curve. It says, what is the feature you want to repeat? And I say, basically this guy. And you can see it right now, huh? You can see this is the feature. And then again, how many do you want equal spacing or not? And how many of that do you want along this curve? And you okay that. Now here you see it gives you error. Why? Because I just chose the fillet. You have to choose the extrusion and the fillet here, okay? Otherwise, you are not going to create it. Here, look. There we go. Okay, so I can create this object like that. So these are two of them, a curve-driven pattern and a fill. Another one I want to show you is, we call it the table pattern. So here, the coordinates for the centers of this hole is provided in a text file like this. So under the first column, I have X coordinates. Under the second column, I have Y coordinates. And I'm going to read these numbers into SolidWorks, and I use them as the center of a pattern. Okay. So for that, you need this command here, which is called table-driven pattern. And if you look at the table-driven pattern, it needs several things. One is it needs a feature to basically repeat. So here, for that, I have this cut extrude. And then it also needs a coordinate system with respect to which it measures the X and Y of the points. And of course, it needs the text file. Okay, so let me show you how to create those. So I have this cut extrude, which is one of the holes for which the coordinate is not in the text file, right? And we can add it later to the table, but basically I want to repeat this on this object at the specific points. So the first thing, as I said, you need a coordinate system. So you go here and then you go to coordinate system, and here for simplicity I go with the 0, 0, 0 here, and I create this customized frame here which I can use. Now I go to table driven pattern. It says browse for the text file, so I go ahead and bring the text file. There is another format that you can bring, and it's a SolidWorks pattern file, SLDPATAB, pattern table. In addition to that, you can bring text files. Okay, so here I bring this text file that I just showed you, and then it says what is the coordinate system. So that is this guy. I can select it, and then what features to repeat, and I say I want this guy, and then it should show me excuse me. As you can see, these are the coordinates of the holes in that text file. So you see these numbers here are these, except for the top one. The top one is that first hole that you chose. Okay, so you see that number here, 4 to the left side of the origin, is reflected as -4, and 2 units down is reflected as -2. So this top one is that hole, and then these other ones, all the numbers are taken from my text file here. And so if I have these in a text file, or as I said, in a pattern, then I can simply I can simply create this pattern table, or a pattern from the table. Okay, so this is good when you have them in an external file. And finally, there is this last one I want to show you, which is called a variable pattern. And that is an interesting thing. This is when, like, if you look at this object here, it's like two circular patterns, but with different patterns, right? So you see, for example, this inner one has a specific radius and a specific number of features around the circle, which is 6, and this outer one has 8 features on the circle, and it has a bigger radius. Okay, so if you want to create something like that with one singular pattern command and not with basically 2 separate circular patterns, you can do that. So let me show you. Here I'm going to delete this and show you how to create this variable pattern. So here all I did, I have created a single hole onto this surface, but I made sure that I have dimensions for it. So if you click here, I have provided a diameter and a reference angle here. Let me show you that. So if you look at the sketch, I have the reference angle 30 with respect to the vertical line and this radial distance of r. So it's like a polar coordinate basically. And the dimension, of course, 1. Now, what I can do is I go here and I say I want to create a variable pattern, right? And it says, what is the feature you want to repeat? And I say this guy, and immediately it brings all the dimensions that you can control for it. And here you can say, hey, create a pattern table for me. This is that pattern file that I showed you. So it brings this, and then here you say how many of instances, how many rows of instance you want to add. And let's say here I want, as I showed you, I want like 6 on the inner circle and 8 on the outer circle. So I say give me 14 of them, right? And you see it gave you all of those rows that you need. So now here you have to specify which parameters you want to change in these instances. So one of the things I click and I say I want to control this radial distance. The other one I say I want to control this angular position, and then I can even say I want to control maybe this phi, right? And I also want to control the depth. Okay, so you see I can control all of them. Yes? And so let's take a look. So the first instance is this top one. As you can see, the radial distance is 20, and then you have 30 and 1 and 1. But if you want, the next one could be 20, but the angle could be what? Instead of 30 degrees, it could be, because I want 6 of them, so the angular, the space is 60 degrees, so 30 plus 60 is 90. So now you will get one at 90 degrees, and maybe what? The same size, diameter, and the same depth cut. Then the next one is going to go to 90 plus that, which is 150. And the next one goes to 210. And then you see here, I can literally create whatever I want, 270 and then 330. Okay, and goes back. And if you say update preview, you see here, it is going to create these 6 instances. You might say, what about these other rows? Well, the other rows will create the same thing as the original whole. So right now, these other ones are not doing anything unless I change the numbers. But clearly, you see that I have changed the angular position for 5 of them, and now I have this pattern. And then, let's say for the next one, this 30 is good, but I want this radial distance, which was 2 inches. Okay, I want this 2 inch. Now I want this number to be 3.2. Okay, and the same maybe for this one and a few more. Okay, and if you want, like Excel, you can click on one cell, and if they are the same, you can just drag it down like that. You see, so I got these, and as I said, I want like 8 of them, so this is like 5 so far. And so I'm going to go for another 3, right? So now I have 8 of them at 3.2. If I update, you should be able to see. You might say, well, what happened? Well, the thing is, guess what? The angular positions you have not changed, so you don't see any difference. So now the first one is 30 again. Maybe you go for the next one, and remember the next one should be, let's say if you want 8 of them, should be 45 degrees plus this, so you go to 75. And then if I grab these 2 cells, can I again use Excel? Well, let's see. You see here, I can do that, right? 120, 165, and exactly whatever I did in Excel, I can repeat that. So I can grab these 2 guys and go down and go a little bit more, maybe up to here. So you see I go back to 345, and if I add 345, another 45 degrees, you go to 390, which is the same as 30. So if I update, I should get these 8 holes, right? And if you want for these 8 holes, you can go ahead and change the depth of the cut. So you see this 3.2 here, right? And 30 degrees. Maybe I want for that, which is, let's see which row it is. So it is row instance 6, basically. It's instance 6. So if I go to instance 6 and look at the depth of the cut extrude here, right? So this one that is 1, maybe I want to make it half. Okay, and then as I said, I want to repeat this, bring it down to here. So now if I say update, now those cuts should not be as deep as you can see. And this last one, if I made it just extra and I don't need it, I can simply go ahead and delete this guy. Okay, so I don't want this last instance, and I can simply delete it, or here you can say instances to skip. And that is another beautiful thing here, that you can skip something if you want to, right? So let me skip this one. So I selected the whole thing like this, and then I used the delete from the keyboard, and I could delete that extra row that I did not need. So you see clearly I could create this beautiful pattern here, right? And these last two, I guess, also should be 0.5. So let's do that and update. Okay, so there we go. It's a beautiful thing. And if you want to skip something, you can skip that. For example, maybe I want to skip this one and maybe this one, right? So now if I update, those two instances should be gone, just like that. And look now, you see here, and I can OK that, and you see I could create something completely under my control by controlling the parameters. So this is called a variable pattern, basically, right? You see here, these depths are 0.5, but if I want, I can go back and change them to 1. All you need is to just go back, right click, go to edit, and then here say edit my pattern table. So if you go here, then you can simply go back and modify anything that you have. Okay, so you see here, this one is 0.5, so it should have been 1, as well as these other two, if I wanted it the same way. And now it should be good to go. So let me OK that, and OK this one, and those 6 inner ones should be completely hollow. There we go. Okay, so that was also variable pattern. So hopefully this video was useful to you. I said I want to show you some more advanced patterns in addition to the ones that you know, the linear and the circular, and that's what we did in this video. So hopefully it was beneficial to you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in my next lecture.